My name is Larkin Donley. I'm a VR Director of Photography. Shoot 2D as well, commercials, features, documentaries, and I've been focusing on VR in the last number of years. I think my first project was like 4 years ago. And in the last year with all the new cameras coming out, I've been getting in touch with some of the manufacturers and they've sent me some demo units. So today we have the Obsidian S made by a company called Kandao. They're based in China and they haven't released any units yet for sale, I believe, but they have a number of different models. There's the Pioneer, which came out, I think, about a year ago, which was you could apply to purchase one or apply to get access to one, and I used one of those. It's actually a great camera, very functional. It shoots 30 frames, stitches amazing stereo footage. It's very small, battery powered, great form factor. And then they've upgraded to better sensors in this new rig that's called the Obsidian, and they have an S model and an R model, and the one I have is the S. And I requested that from them because it shoots 120 frames, which is pretty wild considering the only other camera out there that shoots 120 frames stereo is a Jaunt. And the Jaunt's this massive 24 camera beast that requires 24 volt power or maybe 12 volt power, but it's a big process. A lot of cards, stitching lines are very far away, and this camera is only this rig has 6 cameras in it, so you can get people much closer, and it seems to work very well. So let me show you how I set it up. So this is the lightweight tripod that I use, made by a company called Faisal. I just prefer using it because it's lightweight, carbon fiber. It's strong, and it's got a wide base. They're pretty cheap. They're like, I want to say 180 bucks. And then I have some little accessories that extend the height of the rig. So you can mount your cameras on there and get to all the ports. And then this is the case that you get when you purchase the Obsidian S. It comes in this very pretty case. Whether or not you want to use it for travel is up to you. This is pretty much how it comes. Power supply. Actually, their power supply is this PPoE port. PoE is power over Ethernet, and it plugs into the wall and then will extend the power to the camera. And the reason that they use this is because all of the information and power comes in and out of the Ethernet port. So in one way, it's kind of amazing that they've consolidated all the cords into one cable. Power and all the info, all the data stream can come out of the same thing. So it's got 2 ports, so you can plug in a router at the same time. Sweet. So power over Ethernet's pretty cool. It works well with cameras that don't require high voltage, and this happens to be one. You still need to have internal power. So let's get into it. This is the camera. It's a little dirty. It's been used. This is how it comes out of the box. There's no lens caps or anything. This is just exactly what it looks like when you get it. It's got 6 lenses. It's got 6 separate card slots. And on the bottom, you can see it's got 1/4-20 thread here. This is actually just an insert. So if you wanted to, you could, I don't know if I can take this out real quick, but if you wanted to, you could take this little insert out and make it a 3/8, which is preferred. 3/8 is just a stronger thread. 1/4-20 will definitely carry this weight. So I just leave the bushing in there, and then they've got some little adapters that'll help it. So if you put it on a tripod, it doesn't unthread. This is really important that they added these little ports because if this camera starts to spin while it's on a mount, that can be a big problem. It does have 12 volt in, which you can just use a normal plug. It doesn't actually come with a 12 volt in cable, but these are very standard. It's got an audio sync. If you have an external audio device that you're recording, it'll record on board. And then it has this PoE port, which is basically the one port that you'd end up using. Ethernet does video and power. If you look at each of the sides here, you can see that there's an audio mic, there's a label for which camera it is, and then the camera itself. And when you take the card out from that camera, from the slot right adjacent to it, it'll actually be labeled with the number. So file management is a bit easier with this whole file structure. So let me just show you the rest of it. It's pretty simple. So once I put this little extender on, I just do the threading. Try to keep a hand on it at all times because it seems like it, don't want it to fall off. And then I'll just seal it right like that, and it's on there pretty good. It's pretty stable. So you can run this on battery power. It runs off 2 LP6 batteries, and the battery port is on the top. It's this little plate that comes off. You can see I've got 2 batteries in here right now, and they just pop out like that.
What battery is that?
This is the standard issue Canon LP6 battery that runs any 5D Mark II or Mark III. Costs about $100 each, I think, and they last forever. So it doesn't. The camera does not come with any batteries like this. It does come with 2 chargers, but chargers are pretty cheap. On 2 batteries, running fully charged, it lasts for about an hour and a half. Shooting at 30 frames. I'd recommend keeping it plugged in though when it's on battery power because you just never know. And I don't know how secure the files are if the camera dies while you're rolling. It might not seal the clips. You should definitely test the camera when you get it. So they just fit right in. And then you can put the cover back on. Just slides right on there. All right, so there are no cards loaded in it right now. Hold the power button here, and then it'll turn on. But it's going to show me that there are no cards. It should start blinking. These are the cards that it comes with. This is just a little card reader that I use. Separate all the micro SD cards out, and then just because they're so tiny, I use tweezers.
Oh, nice.
So this is going to be a fun process, but in no particular order. I just click them in there. Close this little cover up.
Is there any required speed for the mini SD card?
They send the camera with these cards. They send them with this, see if you can see it. It's the Toshiba 64 gig card. They've told me that they've tested with many different types of SD cards or micro SD cards, and that these are the ones that they recommend. So they actually send it with it, which is a good bonus. They don't send it with any card, with any like 6x card reader. They send it with a single one, but I just find that I prefer all the cards to go in and all the cards to come out, just so that there's no confusion of which ones have been transferred yet. I got this card reader on Amazon. It was like $15, and then these little individual plugs are like $10 each.
Wow.
And
that's good tips.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, card management is a big part of shooting VR, especially when you have 6 cards. Say you're shooting with another camera that has 24 cards. You need to be really diligent, because if you only get 23 of your 24 cards, you're not going to be able to stitch anything. You're going to have a big gap. So every card's just as important as the other, and you have to be as methodical as possible to make sure that everything's loaded. VR is all about being diligent.